There's a professor in University of Hawaii, I think he's emeritus right now, called Dr. Rummel, Professor Rummel. And he's written a book called Death by Government. And he points out in this book that from 1917 until the collapse of the Soviet Union, that these people, mainly Stalin, murdered or caused the death of 61 million people, mostly its own citizens. Since 1949, China's Mao Zedong is responsible for the death of 38 million of its own citizens, and some people say that's a number too low. It's 45 million. Another fact: when John Kenneth Galbraith visited Mao's China, he praised Mao Zedong and the Chinese system. Now, the reason why I bring this up is that I think last week or the week before, California Representative Diane Watson, she praised Cuba's health system, and she praised Fidel Castro, saying that you can think whatever you want about Fidel Castro, but he's one of the brightest leaders I've ever met. Now, here's my question. How is it, or how come, these people on the left praise and have sympathy for these tyrants, by these monsters of human history?
Wow, that's a tall order. I think one of the reasons is that those people talk the kind of talk that the intellectuals like to hear. And since talk is mainly what they're about, that's what they go by. I mean, Hitler made some of the greatest peace speeches of the 1930s. And, of course, it made sense for him to do that because he's arming Germany to the teeth. But that's only going to be effective if the other countries don't arm as well.
That's right.
And so he then talks about how wonderful peace is, and he's offering all sorts of, non-aggression pacts and all kinds of stuff like that. And the intellectuals in the Western democracies were just eating it up. And then as now, they always described, the intellectuals did, military deterrence as an arms race. Well, if Hitler's arming and you don't arm, you're in big trouble.
That's absolutely right. And I believe one time you pointed out, or somebody pointed out, that when Hitler was in the process of violating the Versailles treaties during the mid-30s, that France alone could have taken him down, but they allowed him to accumulate weapons, and France became a victim.
Oh, absolutely. When Hitler sent troops into the Rhineland in violation of the Treaty of Versailles, Hitler himself admitted later that if the French had acted and sent their troops in, he said we would have to have left with our tail between our legs. And many people have argued that had that happened, Hitler would have been so disgraced, it would have been the end of the Nazi regime.
Now, I would imagine that the Ahmadinejad in the Iran, he must be saying these people are fools. They're letting me go to develop nuclear weapons.
Oh, no question about it. And this is, in a sense, even worse than what happened in the case of Hitler, because once you have 2 or 3 nuclear weapons, you are suddenly the master of anybody who isn't willing to stand there and see 2 or 3 of their major cities blown to pieces.
Yeah, right.
If the Iranians are willing to die and we're not, then we are going to lose any confrontation.